Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're turning these episodes out like it's butter. We're back with a very, very special edition of our podcast. We're calling this episode the PB&J featuring Alex Show. And I'm going to tell you why. We're joined by a very special guest, Dartmouth's own Peter Bro. Peter, how you doing?
I am so happy to be here. I've been, talking about coming on this show with Jeff for a little while now, and I'm just thrilled to be on here, and I'm thrilled to talk about what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. So I'll let you surprise the folks here.
Oh, thank you. We're thrilled to have you. This is going to be a lot of fun. So my good pal Jeffrey conducted, let's say, some very important baseball research in a bracket form. Much to the dismay of sports fans, there is no NCAA men's or women's tournament this year. So Jeff took it upon himself to make his own little bracket. Jeff, tell the people what's in store.
Okay, so let's take a step back and talk about the origins of the bracket here. So about, maybe 2 months ago, I found myself in a graduate class on a Saturday afternoon, very, very miserable, learning about education or, learning about how to teach kids how to read or something, quotation mark, important, end quotation mark. So I couldn't bear it anymore, so I just started writing down, while people were taking notes, I just started writing down random people in my notebook. And eventually I said, you know what? I think I need to write down as many random baseball players as I can and put it on a bracket and then put it on Twitter. So we've been doing one vote per day for the last, I think, 2 months or so. And then whoever gets the most votes moves on, and now we're in the Sweet 16.
It's big news, and we're here to break it down. This is our own version of Bracketology, the PB&J show. However, let's clarify something. Now, Jeff, would you say this bracket is made up of the best baseball players ever?
No, it's actually not. It's made up of what I like to call random 2000s baseball players. So essentially, it's a bracket of people where you can go, do you remember blank, blank, blank?
Yeah.
If that's kind of the criteria, if you're obviously you remember David Ortiz, Alex Rodriguez, all these guys, but you're like, hey, you remember Tim Salmon?
No, I don't.
A lot of people say no. So the criteria is favorite random baseball players. Let's just make that clear off the top.
Favorite.
What's that?
Yep, just favorite, not best, not who you want to start your franchise with.
Right.
Best.
That's a debate for a different time, like last week. I don't want to start my franchise with, let's see, Tim Salmon, actually. I don't want to start my franchise with him.
Let's start breaking him down now so that one becomes easier later.
Yeah, right. All right, so Jeff, the floor is yours. So what are we doing, pal? Let the people know.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to break down the bracket into some categories, and then we'll break down the Sweet 16. So we'll start with biggest surprise. So we'll start with our guest, Pete. Pete, what is your biggest surprise of the bracket so far?
Okay, I'm going to go away from Tim Salmon right now, just because he's been on the hot seat.
Yep.
And first off, I'd like to just announce myself as a random baseball player expert. That's why you brought me on for the show, I believe, Jeff. I think that was what's going through your head.
That's right.
And so for my answer, it's going to be very logical here. I'm going with Billy Wagner. And the reason is he upset two very popular players along the way. As Jeff pointed out, Richie Sexton is about 6'7", and he probably has one of the best names in this entire bracket. And Billy Wagner just snuck on by. A left-handed closer? Being that guy? I don't know. So, and then in the second round, he beats Hall of Famer Todd Helton for the Rockies.
Respect.
So if you're talking Sweet 16, how can you not talk about Billy Wagner being an absolute random surprise to show up there? That's my surprise for the Sweet 16.
Do you boys remember early in Steph Curry's collegiate career when he brought the Darling, Davidson, whatevers to the Sweet 16? Or
Wildcats.
Yeah, who could forget that?
So Billy Wagner is Steph Curry right now. No one knows him yet, but you'll know him because he's in the Sweet 16.
What?
He's not the Loyola Chicago.
Billy Wagner is a pretty popular player, I would say. He was on the Red Sox.
No more popular than 6'7" Richie Sexton.
Richie Sexton.
Richie Sexton should be in the Sweet 16. That no doubt about it.
I mean, that's a tough bracket. Like looking at it, Raul Ibanez lost to Todd Helton in the first round. That guy deserves a shot.
Yep.
Who else? Carlos Ruiz, a great Philly.
Chooch.
Sure.
Rafael Furcal, Jose Reyes. Like that's a great bracket.
That is a strong bracket for sure.
Jeff, I just love what you did.
Oh, thank you.
How did you seed these?
Well, that was the thing. I didn't seed it. I did a random generator to make the first bracket. Right. So that I'll stand up and be the bigger man and take responsibility here. I probably should have seeded it because there were some like you guys were saying there were some first round matchups, and I'm gonna point down at the bottom right here when you got Dimitri Young and Dontrell Willis.
Oh, that's tough.
I know that's a tough one.
Dimitri got screwed.
Yeah. Dimitri did get screwed. If you mess with the D train, you're going down.
It's true.
So, Alex, what was your biggest surprise?
I'm going to veer off. My biggest surprise, there's a second criteria we're talking about, so never mind. My biggest surprise, let me just take a little peek-ski. We're going to go, definitely, we picked on Tim Salmon enough, but Tim Salmon, but also Brian Giles. Brian Giles beat Carlos Lee, right? And then Brian Giles beat Josh Johnson.
Oh.
Those are pretty popular players. So Brian Giles would be my most surprised player there. Can I tell you a surprise in a positive way?
Oh, please. Yeah, let's think positive here.
Definitely surprised in a positive way for Sean Casey, the mayor. As Pete pointed out in our pregame show off air, he knocked off big Maglio Ordonez in the first round.
Oh,
I'm a big Maglio guy, but I'm a bigger Sean Casey guy. So, I would consider that a first round upset for sure.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Like, when it talks about Maglio, I was not a fan of him when he was playing because that's when Detroit was good. There was the heydays of the Tigers, and he was a threat to all the other AL teams. Mm-hmm. But, how could you not love the hair, the name? So the fact that he got paired up with his Detroit Tigers teammate and knocked off in the first round, I mean, that's one of the things that I don't want to shoot Jeff for this one. I don't want to blame Jeff because he did such a great job. It's just, it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes let me think if I think of a quick one. Oh, sometimes you're an 11-5 team in the NFL playoffs, but you have to go on the road to play an 8-8 division winner, It's kind of like that. It's the way the cookie crumbles. Maglio went into Sean Casey's house and got popped. That's all it is.
So you step in the mayor's house, you're going to get some.
I think redoing this, we definitely should have seeded it. Let me throw out a surprise for you guys.
Yes, please do.
And I'm more interested in this one. I'm very surprised that Carl Crawford made it to the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you say that on Twitter too.
Yeah, and the reason I'm surprised is because he was a great Devil Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
fun to watch, super fast, Red Sox killer. In any situation, he should have been to the Sweet 16. However, he was so bad and just so miserable on the Red Sox that I figured that would kind of hurt his cachet, if you will. But I guess it hasn't.
Yep. And also, peeking at his first round matchup, Eric Burns was not a good baseball player, right? I think he was a career fourth outfielder, but Eric Burns was electric on the mic, as we say in the wrestling biz. He was electric on the mic. His personality was off the charts. I mean, they had him on every ESPN pregame. I feel like his teams were playing on. That's a guy. An Eric Burns type is what this bracket is made for.
Yeah.
And Carl Crawford popped him in the first round. And once again, talking in our pregame prep, Pete pointed out Carl Crawford was a great player until he got to a real team in a real market. He was bad with the Red Sox. He was bad with the Dodgers. I mean, you should rename this whole bracket the Eric Burns Challenge because he should be.
Wow. I love it.
I mean, just to jump on top of that, in the second round, he goes on to beat Jake Peavy, who was probably a better Red Sox than Carl Crawford himself. So when you're talking about a giant bracket formed by a Red Sox fan, probably voted upon by a majority of Red Sox fans themselves, how does Carl Crawford make it to the Sweet 16?
Exactly.
So Jeff talking like that is a good one to point out as a big surprise because it's kind of mind-boggling. Like I remember the hype and then the hate for Carl Crawford when he came and went from Boston. And wasn't Jake Peavy on that World Series team?
Yep.
2013.
I believe he won a World Series game.
What's that, Jeff?
Didn't he won a game in that World Series? I believe, right?
Oh, exactly. Just tally that one in the category of how did this happen?
Absolutely. We can move on in a second, but I just want to share a quick anecdote with the listeners.
Please.
The year is 2013. Let's say it's July.
Oh boy, I know where this is going.
Jeff and I work together at the YMCA. I don't think that's any secret. The trade deadline comes and goes, and the Boston Red Sox acquire a veteran innings eater for the playoff front by the name of Jake Peavy. I come into work, dude, Jeff, we got Jake Peavy. And what did you say, Jeff? Hit me with it.
I was very perturbed that they traded Jose Iglesias.
True. And then they went on to win the World Series, and Jose Iglesias is an overrated defensive second baseman now. I think they moved him from short. Or maybe third. I don't know.
Yeah, that take didn't hold up well.
Yeah, that take did not hold up well. But you have other picks that did. I just wanted to point out the Jake Peavy hate, and thanks for 2013, Jake.
Yeah, shout out Jake Peavy.
I was upset with the Jose Iglesias trade at the time too, but then I heard he was a bit of a locker room issue. Ooh. So that once again makes sense. That goes back to last week's discussion with Orlando Cabrera, maybe.
Yeah.
Shortstops and their egos.
Yep.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Move on. Does anyone have any other one? I'll say one quick surprise, and I think Craig Counsell, if he had beat Josh Johnson in the first round, would be in the Sweet 16 because he's got everything. The batting stance.
Yeah.
He's a grinder. Now he's a manager. I don't know how he beat Josh Johnson.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
I think you could say the same for like Wandy Rodriguez, right above him. The battle of the greatest names, possibly Coco Crisp versus Wandy Rodriguez in the first round.
Yeah.
And the winner who comes out of that beats Kerry Wood, I guess. I know I voted for Kerry Wood. I was thinking more along the lines of 20 strikeout game.
Right.
But I'm up against a lot of Red Sox fans here, and Coco is definitely a big-time player. And he just reminded me of one other person who I thought was a great person for this list. But we can touch on that later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there are a couple of definitely big surprises. But Jeff, what was next on your itinerary?
All right, so next, and we'll start with you here, Al.
Okay.
The matchup that made you the most upset.
Okay, so I got two. And one of them, I think a good quality in life to have is the ability to recognize when you're wrong and evolve. So I'll give you the example of me recognizing I was wrong and evolving. So originally, my first matchup that I was most upset by the results was Bobby Abreu versus Carlos Delgado in the round of 32.
Oh boy, this was a contentious one.
It was contentious. It went to double OT, I think, right?
Yeah, double extra innings.
Yep, it went. Yeah. So it went to think about when think about when Nate Eovaldi's pitching till 2 a.m. in the 15th inning, something like that. That's kind of what this was. So my original contention was Carlos Delgado is better than Bobby. Not better. Sorry, is more of a fan favorite. I would say there was a little bit of screwiness in the poll, not Jeff's fault. Jeff did a good job marking this poll. But Jeff found a Bobby Abreu super fan on Twitter. literally a super fan. And the super fan recruited his pals to vote Bobby Abreu in. Having said that, looking at the numbers, realizing that Bobby Abreu was a much better player than Carlos Delgado, and, I think Bobby Abreu is likable. So that originally made me the most upset, specifically because of super fan. However, I have adapted, I evolved. That was probably the right choice. And then quickly, because I took up a lot of time, I would say definitely Billy Wagner over Todd Helton is Garbaggio. I was pretty upset by that one, but I think those were probably the two biggest upsets in my opinion.
All right, fair enough. I want to talk about that Bobby Abreu incident after, but I want to hear what Pete's opinion is. So, what made you the most upset here?
Well, I'm going to circle back to the leadoff topic of this podcast, Tim Salmon.
Mm-hmm.
I can't ignore it any longer. How did this guy make it to the Sweet 16? You know, Juan Encarnacion, in our pregame, Alex and I were talking a little bit about him. I guess that was a bit of a gimme when you talk about a journeyman and that kind of player versus Tim Salmon, who was a career angel, great name. And
the original Mike Trout.
Yeah, exactly. He was the original Mike Trout. And I feel like that's what's on people's minds. If people can connect, wait, Salmon played for the Angels and Trout plays for the Angel, and those are both fish. Ha-ha. And then they vote for him. I get it. People are simple. People like simple things. But the fact that he goes on to beat Lance Berkman, that's disgusting. Okay? Lance Berkman, love him or hate him. I mean, I loved him. He was a shortly lived Yankee, and I really enjoyed him when he was there. Great Astro, too. And it just, I don't know. I was looking, I had to do my research because it's going to come out sooner or later. Alfonso Soriano is my favorite player of all time, okay? If we're going to talk about matchups eventually on this podcast, it's going to come out. And I had to research the competition, and I found nothing good about Tim Salmon, like at all. Nothing interesting other than that fishy name. So I'm just completely upset with that matchup and how he got this far. When guys like Aramis Ramirez,
True.
Barry Zito, Billy Butler couldn't even make it out of the first round. He got Tim Salmon walking into the Sweet 16. Rant over. I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it here.
I love it. I will say Rafael Soriano is my favorite Yankee ever. And Tim Salmon is trash in terms of beating Lance Berkman. Yeah, I'm with you, Pete.
You agree? Thank you.
I'm with you.
So,
Jeff, who's your biggest upset?
So I'm going to say, and we talked about this a little bit before, but I'm a huge Maglio Ordonez guy. Maglio Ordonez guy.
You had the hair for a little while that resembled him.
Thank you. Just what a great Maglio. I don't know anyone else named Maglio.
What about Ordonez?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Name.
Anyone else?
I don't know anybody.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Ordonez. Personally, I would have liked to see Randy Wolf move on to the next round. I was a big Randy Wolf guy. I'm a little upset Juan Pierre's out of there. I was a big Juan Pierre guy. But I want to circle back to kind of this discussion as a whole here. The Bobby Abreu superfan is what this bracket is about.
Absolutely.
You never know when you throw one of these things out there on Twitter what you'll find someday. All of a sudden, I got this random guy commenting. I look at him. His picture's Bobby Abreu. The cover photo's Bobby Abreu. His pinned post is trying to get Bobby Abreu into the Hall of Fame.
Are we sure it's not a Bobby Abreu burner himself?
I was thinking that. I said that.
That's what we were thinking. It could be Bobby Abreu. However, I am just waiting for this crash course for Bobby Abreu and Soriano to meet in the semifinals. I think we'd have to get that guy on the podcast to debate Peter.
I think so. I mean, I want to know what his connection to Bobby Abreu is.
That's true.
If he caught a foul ball.
That's what I'm thinking.
I want to know. I want to know the story because I know I'm fully invested to getting my guy to the Final Four. And I want to see if this Bobby Abreu fan, if you're listening right now, bring it.
And just like what we were saying, this bracket is about Lance Berkman. It's about Tim Salmon. It's about all these, bringing these guys back from the dead, talking about them, and you love to hear it.
Yeah. I will say, Soriano's got a cakewalk. I mean, your biggest competition is Troy Glaus, and I don't think that's happening. So, yeah, that's pretty good.
I got my fingers crossed over here.
Yeah. Johan Santana should probably beat Bobby Abreu. I'm just saying. I don't want to sway the listeners, but Johan was pretty awesome.
So with that being said, I think we should break down the matchups.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
So
do it.
Do you want our picks or like what are you? How are we doing this?
We can do our picks on who you could say who you would like to win that, who you think will win.
All right.
And so we'll
Do you want me to get one side and Pete to get the other side and you facilitate?
Nope. I want you to just say whoever you think. It's okay if we all agree on the same. If it's okay if we're all different.
All right.
All right. So we'll just start at the top. Troy Glaus, Billy Wagner.
Troy.
I hope personally for Billy. I think is it okay for me to publicly say who I'm going to be voting for?
Sure.
I'm going to be voting for Billy Wagner, but I do at the end of the day think Troy Glaus is going to pull away with this.
Yeah.
I don't think lefty closers have a lot of pull in this kind of bracket, you know?
Yeah, I thought so too. They beat Todd Helton, so up is down, down is up.
Heads up. If people play MLB The Show, they know just how good Billy Wagner is. So watch out.
True.
You never know where these fans are coming from.
He'll get you. Yeah, that's true.
It'll be an interesting one. I think I'm personally a Troy Glaus guy. Nothing
Me
like
too.
a big goon who hits 35 homers and hits 250. Nothing better.
Yeah.
Well, sue me for being born left-handed, okay, Jeff?
Played shortstop at UCLA.
Wait, isn't Jeff also a lefty?
No, bat lefty throw ready, the perfect combo.
I was going to say, he's just the perfect combo. He's just a skilled
big
baseball
deal.
player. He's what you dream of.
All
Hey,
right.
I remember I warmed up Jeff one time for baseball season. He got some zip on that ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he can throw some mustard.
No. Good thing I didn't start warming up this year.
I know.
Sad.
So
That's why we only can have this baseball bracket to push us through these tough times.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Big matchup. Tim Salmon, Alfonso Soriano.
skip it. We already know.
It should
Don't
be.
skip it.
All right, Pete, tell us about Soriano. Make the case.
Alex, please give me your take here first. Give me something to get the blood flowing.
Give me a take against Soriano.
No, I don't know. I just want to hear what you think. Do you think
My
Salmon's
take
got a
is that
chance?
Soriano should take Tim Salmon in this bracket, smack him in half, throw out the pieces, and waltz to the Elite Eight. That's my take.
Okay. And I love it. And I love to hear it. I could give you a hug through the screen right now. See, I wasn't sure, what kind of bracket this was until we talked about it in the pregame, because guys like Torrey Hunter have come through, Jim Edmonds, and I was like, okay, so those are good players, but then there's a lot of fan favorites too, like a Coco Crisp or a Dontrell Willis. So I was like, all right, when I start going to bat for my man Alfonso, do I talk about how great he was? And I found this one stat, and this is the only stat I'll give. Alfonso Soriano is one of 4 players in MLB history, 4, to join the 40 for 40 club.
Wow.
40 home runs, 40 stolen bases in a season. You want to know who he's in that company with?
Barry Bonds.
Yep.
No. Oh, really?
A-Rod.
Yep, Barry Bonds. Probably a Pittsburgh Pirates season.
Yeah.
Got any other guesses, Jeff?
A-Rod.
A-Rod? Yep.
Ken
And
Griffey.
the last-
No, not Ken Griffey. He didn't steal 40.
No, you're never going to guess this guy, actually.
Is he somewhat modern?
Somewhat modern. He's a 90s superstar, but you would just never guess him.
What league? American or national?
American.
Jeff
predominantly,
Bagwell.
Yeah. Nope.
Dang. I don't know.
But you're kind of in that sphere where it's like somebody you wouldn't think.
Hit us with it.
Jose Canseco.
Oh, he should have.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So my guy, Alfonso Soriano, is in a category with those 3 other elite players all of his own. And I just love it.
I don't mean this to be slander. It's a genuine question. Was Soriano a PED guy?
No. Not that
Okay.
I know of, but I'm going to jump to bat right there and say no as quickly as I can.
So really, he's a leg up on those guys because those are 3 very known steroid users.
Yeah. Have you ever seen his stance, Alfonso's stance?
Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. See, he was my favorite player because he went from, we said this in pregame, I'll say it on the air, a young Peter Bro playing second base and his junior league team, a Yankee fan at the time. Who plays second base for the Yankees? Alfonso Soriano. And then when Peter grows up and realizes he's not that good at baseball, he gets sent to the outfield. But who gets sent to the outfield with him? It's Alfonso Soriano as well.
I like it.
Wow.
He's American people.
But he can hit home runs and I couldn't. That's the only big difference. And he's an MLB player. So,
Yeah, but we can overlook that.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
Besides from that, you guys are the same.
Basically, thank you.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, that being said, I think we're going to move on to a matchup that I think will be a little more close. Bobby Abreu, Johan Santana. This is, to me, I'm not going to say this is the best matchup of the Sweet 16 because we're coming to that, but this is a good one. Who do you guys got?
Alex?
My heart says Santana. My head says Bobby Abreu. Yep. I'll leave it at that.
You'll leave it at that?
Yep.
See, I think my head says Bobby Abreu because I'm afraid of this fan. And my heart says Bobby Abreu because he was also a Yankee. And he had that one-of-a-kind home run derby appearance until, in these more recent years where they've changed the rules and it's become a real slugfest. He had, 24 home runs in a round?
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was like this. It was the greatest single-round performance ever. And personally, I just never really liked Johan Santana. Between the Twins and the Mets, never really did it for me. So, excuse me, I'm rooting for Bobby.
All right, I like it.
Yeah, this will be a great one. This is you got two players who both were very good at a certain time, but have a strong fan, a strong fan aura around them. So it'll be interesting. Also, shout out to that fan. Hopefully, maybe he'll give this a listen. Anyway, moving on. Interesting matchup. Sean Casey, Adam Dunn. What do you guys got?
Pete, take the lead on this one.
Okay. If I can point out right off the bat, Tim Hudson had just as much a shot of being in this position as Adam Dunn. Because this is one of those toss-up matchups from the first round where the winner probably picks up steam and just makes their way right onto the Sweet 16 and maybe the Elite Eight. And obviously the same can be said with Sean Casey. I think this one's going to go to Adam Dunn just because of name recognition. Personally, I'm rooting for the mayor. Heck of a guy, great clubhouse guy, great career. So I'm rooting for Sean Casey. I just think Adam Dunn's a bigger household name. And I think when I think of random 2000 baseball players, I really think of somebody like Adam Dunn, who was pretty good for a short amount of time, known for one thing. He either swings and hits it out of to the moon, or he swings and he swings out of his shoes. So Adam Dunn is basically this entire bracket in a nutshell. So I got to go with him.
Fair.
I'm going with the mayor, Sean Casey, and you ready for a hot take? Sean Casey is going to the Final Four against Alfonso Soriano. I'm hitching my wagon to the mayor. We're riding him to the Final Four, and we'll see what happens against Rafael Soriano. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Alfonso, please.
I think if a lot of baseball people, people who follow the game, are going to see this, I think Sean Casey could potentially move on just because everyone knows him as the mayor. He's on MLB Network. He was a good hitter. Mm-hmm. He was also very slow, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, this will be tough because I think at a lot of people, especially if you're not a big baseball fan, you still know Adam Dunn for hitting 500-foot bombs. So
yeah, for sure.
It'll be good. All right. The matchup, in my opinion, the biggest and best matchup of this bracket, Andrew Jones versus Torrey Hunter, two center fielders, one AL guy, one NL guy, essentially very similar players, great defensively. Al, who you got?
Andrew Jones. Back in my day, I played a Game Boy Advance game, and it's the name of the game is escaping my brain, which rhymed, but it's escaping me what the name was. But for whatever reason, I made a franchise, and I was the Atlanta Braves. I don't remember why, and I was so good at this Game Boy game that Andrew Jones hit 165 home runs in one season for me.
Jeez.
Wow. So, yeah. Wow is right, B.
Pretty good season.
Also, shout out Jared Carabas. I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but he shared a video of Andrew and Andrew Jones's son going yah at like a junior league game. So,
yeah, that was an impressive shot.
Yeah. So we're going Andrew Jones. I'm a big Torrey Hunter guy. Thank you for the 2013 ALCS when you almost robbed that home run, which ended in the iconic photo. So thank you, Torrey, for that. Torrey Hunter is a great player, but Andrew Jones is taking this thing.
Pete, who you got?
Jeff, you got me?
Yeah, who you got?
First off, Alex, was the game possibly high heat?
That doesn't sound familiar. I'll find it, though.
I know that was one that I played way back when, and that got me into my early 2000 Yankees. This one's so tough because talk about legendary names, because Andrew Jones is spelt differently than like the normal Andrew, and then Torrey Hunter. And it's like you said, two great center fielders. This one's so tough. You know what? I want to be with you, but I can't. I think this is going to be Torrey Hunter. I think Torrey Hunter is going to make it to the Elite Eight, and I think it's going to go against everything I believe in this bracket, because then people are going to start voting on him based on skill, not whether he was their favorite or not. That's all I got for this round.
That's fair.
Great matchup, though.
It is a good matchup. The game was called Baseball Advance. Very simple.
Baseball Advance for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it was really good.
Baseball PlayStation.
It was an awesome game.
Oh, wow. Well, shout out to Andrew Jones for breaking the single season home run record, doubling it.
Points over.
Wow.
Yeah, you're darn right. You did.
You could say he was pretty locked in that year.
You think? That's a home run a game, folks.
Over a home run a game.
I think Andrew Jones will win, because I think he was just had a little more swagger, hit a little more, like he hit for a little more power. But I think for me personally, I'd vote Torrey Hunter. That being said, I don't vote and I can't vote in these polls. I would go Torrey Hunter. Like look up the video of him robbing Barry Bonds in the All-Star game of a home run. That's a great video. So I'd go Torrey Hunter.
Is that the one where he runs up the wall, basically?
Yeah, and then Barry Bonds tackles him. It's great.
Can I point one thing out?
Yes.
That is the first tenured Yankee, because Andrew Jones was on the Yankees for a teeny little bit.
True.
It was the first one I went against here.
Wow.
Just want to point that out.
He was on the Yankees for like a season.
A hot minute. A cup of coffee.
Wow. All right. Moving on. Coco Chris, Brian Giles, not Brain Giles, as I like to call him. Who you guys got?
Go ahead, Pete.
This one seems simple to me. I had to research Brian Giles today when I was getting ready for the podcast, so I'm going with Coco Crisp. Talk about fan favorite.
Yeah.
Like, how you're not cuckoo for Coco. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I think this one's going to be almost like a 80-20. Coco Crisp slides into the Elite Eight with ease without even breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got 3 words for you, and I will admit I had to look this up, but Covelli, Lois, Crisp. That's what I'm going with. Yeah,
so Coco, I believe, if I remember this correctly, was the only person to win a unanimous poll in his first round matchup, which was against Wandy Rodriguez, which was tough.
Wandy stunk though. He wasn't good. Great name, but
great name though.
Oh yeah, good name though.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I honestly think Coco could go to the Final Four and potentially win this whole thing.
You think so?
I think so, because I tried to not go with a lot of Red Sox players. Like, there's no Trot Nixon, there's no Veritek, all those guys.
Yeah,
but I was like, I gotta go Coco because he had a lot of years with the Athletics, a lot of years with the Indians. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was only on the Red Sox for what, 2 or 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. So, but a lot of the Red Sox nation loved him. So I could see Coco going all the way. I think he'll crush Brian Giles. Just want to say, Brian Giles, for those who are unfamiliar, has some pretty good numbers. He's got 287 career home runs, 291 career average. Not bad.
See, I'll be honest with you, and this is... Oh, wait, no, never mind. I take it back. I was going to say something, but never mind.
Sometimes I confuse him with Jeff Francoeur. They're like the
Two-time
same
All-Star, Ryan Giles.
person. Put some respect on his name. All right, moving on. Interesting matchup. Jim Edmonds, Carl Crawford.
This is a good one.
This is a good one.
Pete,
who you got?
Alex, I'll let you go first.
Oh, all right, Alex, who you got?
All right. So I promised Jeff I wouldn't bash on the listeners too much, but I'm going to say something here. I know Carl Crawford is winning this matchup. I know it. I'm not a betting man, but I would bet on it. But Jim Edmonds should beat Carl Crawford. Jim Edmonds is a better baseball player. Jim Edmonds is a better teammate. He's, in my opinion, more of a fan favorite. Carl Crawford, I think, I'm not a Carl Crawford guy. I'm not. That offseason, the Red Sox trade for Adrian Gonzalez. I was the happiest little boy in southeastern Massachusetts. Carl Crawford, I was excited about because it's like, oh yeah, Carl Crawford, but he never gave me the same juice as Aegon did. And now that it's coming down to it, he's staring Jim Edmonds face to face, Sweet 16. Who's going to blink first? I think the fans are going Crawford. In my opinion, I'm voting Jim Edmonds.
All right. Who you got, Pete?
I'm like step on step with him on that take because I'm not a big Red Sox fan in the same way that Alex is. I like to consider myself a complete fair weather Red Sox fan. When things are great and they have people I like Mookie Betts, I like the Red Sox. And then when they trade him away, I despise them again. And I wake up and I remember, this is why I'm a Yankees fan. This is why I hate the Boston Red Sox. So, Carl Crawford was never on the Red Sox when I was a Red Sox fan, so I don't really have that animosity towards him. But Jim Edmonds, at the same time, was such a great player, legendary Cardinal outfielder, and I just got to agree with Alex. Although I think Jim Edmonds is the better player and the guy I want to move on, I think Carl Crawford's going to be the one who moves on. I think the people, if he's gotten past Eric Burns and Jake Peavy, I think Carl Crawford's going to keep plowing his way to the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I was voting, I'd vote Jim Edmonds, but based on the damage that Carl Crawford has done so far, I'm going to go with him. Also, I want to just say, since we're talking Jim Edmonds has worked hard. I think Mike Sweeney is a great random 2000s baseball player.
Yeah.
You remember how bad the Royals were for like 6-7 years?
He was like their only
he was like
glimmer of hope.
But he wasn't even that good. He hit like 280, like 24 home runs.
Yeah, well, I was like, right around the time that Beltran left them?
Yep.
So they were like a complete shambles.
Right before like Alex Gordon and like Zach Greinke, like
Billy Butler.
But I feel like there were a few years before they even had like Billy Butler. And it was just like Mike Sweeney and Angel Baroa.
It was when they wore those cut-off jerseys.
Yeah.
The sweet sleeves. Like, those were awesome.
So, cool. Shout out to Mike Sweeney. He also took down Juan Pierre. Juan Pierre is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think I voted Juan Pierre on that, even though I do like Jim Edmonds quite a bit.
He's in that.
I know I voted Barry Zito in the first round.
Yeah. Also,
curveball guy.
I got to say, I put out a Twitter poll today saying who should be on there, and I put Barry Zito on the poll, forgetting that he was on the list. So that was my bad.
I think I voted for Barry Zito in that poll.
I don't. Who did he go against?
I'm just ride or die.
Juan Pierre. See, Barry Zito got screwed over by having to face Juan Pierre.
That's a big matchup, yeah, for sure.
All right, last matchup here.
I did.
A big matchup. Really, really good one. Miguel Tejada versus Dontrell Willis. Whew. If there was a number one seed in this tournament, I think it would be the D Train because people just love him. But who you guys got?
Pete, go ahead.
I am going with Dontrell Willis. This guy, as Jeff just said, has to be the overall number one seed in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who doesn't love that leg kick? He's the first guy. He was probably the first Marlin you ever knew before Hanley, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Dontrell Willis. So, and also, he's going against Miguel Tejada, juicer, Oriole, there's not much I liked about Miguel Tejada. I think he's he's another one of these great. He perfectly personifies this bracket, but not one fiber of my being wants Miguel Tejada to advance. The only not a single fiber. Because I'm okay with Willis getting bounced in the Elite Eight or Final Four. Because I do not want my guy seeing him in the finals.
No, you don't.
No, I do not.
No. I think this is a pretty obvious one. I think D-Train is immensely popular, and he's a good pitcher. And Miguel Tejada, for the reasons you said, I'm going to throw a glimmer of hope for the Tejada fans. And it's a little movie called Moneyball. And one of the biggest moments in Oakland A's history was trading away Miguel Tejada. And for the casual fan who might not be most into baseball, but more the pop culture, they can say, oh yeah, Moneyball, Billy Beane. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't want it to happen. But, who's voting on this? It's Twitter. Anyone can be on Twitter. There's no vetting process. You just make an account. So
for all we know, we could find a Miguel Tejada fan.
Exactly.
In this round.
Oh, right. I didn't even think of that.
Anything
Talk
can
about
happen.
flipping this thing upside down.
Yeah, absolutely right. But, let's be real. D-Train's going to take it away. Dontrell Willis is electric on the mound, electric on the mic. He's a great, MLB Network personality.
He's good on Twitter.
What's that?
He's pretty good on Twitter.
Yep.
So what isn't he good at?
No, there's
he could hit.
Exactly.
He would hit home runs and.
Yeah, he's a borderline shoo-in for the finals.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are we talking Final Four already? Because
I don't think so, but I'm telling you, he's on a collision course with Sean Casey. That's all I'm saying.
Dontrell Willis, Coco Chris would be a massive battle.
It's gonna be electric. It's gonna be an electric factory. Whoever comes out of that top region, minus Brian Giles, it's gonna be an electric factory.
Yeah, I'm with you. With you 100%. Jeff, are you going D-Train or are you going Tejada for the upset?
I would have to go D-Train. However, I like Miguel Tejada. Don't love him, but I'd have to go D-Train. Speaking of just the superfan thing and how anything can happen, one thing that I want to mention, another example of a big superfan getting involved was the Mark Burley, David Eckstein matchup. David Eckstein got rolled over by Mark. It was the highest. It was the most votes that I got, and it was 80-something% to 20-something %, and it was a White Sox fan saw it, retweeted it, and commented on it or something, and a bunch of White Sox people went to bat for Mark Burley. So you never know what can happen.
Well, clearly they didn't care too much because they gave up on the second round. Because I was on the Mark Burley bandwagon at that point, and he lost. And I remember seeing Johan Santana advance, and I was kind of upset. I was like, "What?
You got to ride for your guys."
What a no-hitter? Come on, you remember?
Oh yeah. So I put Jeff on blast a little bit about the Jake Peavy thing. So I'm gonna practice a little self-ridicule. David Eckstein. My earliest memory of David Eckstein was as a wee young lad. And my brother Nathaniel, who's the official Esquire of the podcast, and my father, who is the official environmental chemist of the podcast, they were talking about a general manager by the name of Theo Epstein. And being dummy child, I said, "What? We just got David Eckstein?" And they said, "No, you dumb kid. It's Theo Epstein, the GM." So that's a little self-ridicule. And my earliest memory of David Eckstein. So
wow. I like that. This bracket is kind of built for David Eckstein, so I am a little upset that he's out.
Yeah. I liked him. I was a fan. But hey, you know what? Mark Burley, you get a super fan. It's going to happen.
So now that we've been through all of it, tomorrow we're going to start with Troy Gloss versus Billy Wagner. So follow your boy on Twitter at Jeff Carrero54, and you can vote on this. Real quick, when all this is over, should the next tournament be random NBA, random NFL, or random Boston athletes?
NBA.
That's what I was thinking as well.
All right. Fair enough.
Roster sizes. You could get some cool names involved.
You get a little
I don't know.
Wally Zerbiak.
Yep, Zerbiak.
Wally Zerbiak. I was honestly thinking just like any
Travis Outlaw.
2000s Timberwolves players. Latron Sprewell, Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
Like Mark Madsen?
I don't know. I don't know that guy.
I'm testing myself here. Sorry.
I'll keep that into consideration. However, we still got the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the championship. So, Pete, I'm going to put you on the spot, but would you come back on when we're going to break down the Elite Eight?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. And the thing is, I really don't want to be heartbroken. My heart has been, really messed with this past week and a half, and I really hope the good people out there don't vote Tim Salmon just to spite me, because I would hate to show up back on this podcast knowing I have more haters out there than there are Alfonso Soriano fans.
So this is more about you than Alfonso at this point.
No, I want my guy. I want it to be about my guy, but I'm just afraid that I'm going to be coming in here for the Elite Eight, and I'm going to be like Soggy Sorrows, as upset as I can be. So, thanks for the invite.
Oh, anytime. This was a lot of fun. Anyone have any final comments or thoughts or anything they want to put out there?
My final thought is I am hitching my wagon. No, I'm hitching my horse to the Sean Casey wagon, and can I give a little Final Four hopes and dreams?
Oh, sure.
Okay?
Yeah, can we do that? Can I do that as well?
Absolutely.
My dream Final Four is Sean Casey versus Alfonso Soriano.
Thank you.
In the East, I guess. Please ignore that scratching. That's just my dog freaking out about a ball. And in the West bracket, I guess, probably my Final Four, I'm going Andrew Jones, D-Train. So you got a Final Four of Soriano, Casey, Andrew Jones, D-Train. That's my hopes and dreams.
I like it. Pete, who you got?
Well, should I give you the who I want, or what would be what I predict it to be?
Who you want?
Yeah, give us who you want.
Well, I want a cakewalk. So I want Brian Giles in there. And I want Jim Edmonds probably.
Ooh.
And then I got to go with Santana. Because as long as a Santana fan doesn't come out of anywhere, my boy Alfonso Soriano could take away this ship.
I think that's probably, you're onto something there.
Wow. I think the Final Four is going to be, I think we're going Soriano, Abreu, Coco, D-Train.
That would be my most accurate prediction.
That's what
but not
I think.
who I want, because that's scary. That scares me.
Is there a chance that Billy Wagner can somehow sneak his way through?
Maybe. I don't know who's on Twitter.
Because he could be Troy Glaus, to be honest.
Giles and Tim Salmon are still alive as of this moment. So for all we know, they could be in the finals head-to-head, okay?
Oh, I love it.
And then we'd really have to do some research for this podcast.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, people. That's I think that's all we got today. Does anyone want to drop their Twitter handles?
What's that?
Does anyone want to drop their Twitter handles so people can follow them? I dropped mine.
Nah, I don't want followers.
All right.
At Jeff Curro 54.
We'll drop Jeff's Hiddle.
Boom. All right, world. That's all we got. Peace.